Good morning, everyone. My name is David Antonini. I am the instructor for the Introduction to Ethics online course that you're going to be taking, or that you are taking here at Clemson during the summer semester, mini-mester B, over the next 3 weeks. What I want to do in this video is just briefly introduce myself to you, talk a little bit about how the course is going to work, and just a little bit about ethics. So again, I said my name is David Antonini. I've been at Clemson since the fall 2018 semester. So I will be beginning my third year at Clemson starting in fall 2020. I normally teach Introduction to Ethics as a semester-long course in the fall semesters. And so the course that you're going to be taking is a shorter, obviously much shorter, truncated version of that course. And I'll say a bit more about that in a second. Just a little bit more about myself. Um, I moved to Clemson, South Carolina in the summer of 2018. I've never lived in the South before. Before that, I completed my PhD in philosophy in Carbondale, Illinois at Southern Illinois University, and I am originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And that's where I lived all of my life before moving to Illinois to begin graduate school. I originally attended a university in Pennsylvania called Slippery Rock University. That's where I got my undergraduate degree, and here I am now in 2020, teaching at Clemson. So that's a little bit about me. If you have any questions, you're welcome to shoot me an email and ask me. Normally during the first day of like regular in-person classes, that's something I do is I give the students a chance to just ask about me and who I am. And I feel like in an online course, that's even more maybe important because I'm this person who's kind of teaching you from afar. You never really meet me in person, and so the circumstances are just kind of bizarre. You'll get to see me on some of these videos that I make, but we'll never potentially meet. And so, again, that's obviously what an online course is, but nonetheless, I still thought it would be helpful for you to actually see me and meet me and to know a little bit about me. Let me say a little bit about how the course will work. The way that I taught this course as a 3 week course for the first time last summer. That was the first time that I did, and immediately I thought this is a real challenge because how do you possibly get? Well, first of all, my thought was how do you get a semester into 3 weeks? And the answer is you don't. And so you eliminate a lot of material from your regular course. And I thought in 3 weeks, what's the best way to think about doing an ethics course? And in my mind, it actually works kind of nicely because, as you're going to see in the introductory reading that I emailed you, there are three major, what philosophers call ethical theories. And so my thought was, I'm going to try to fit a major ethical theory into each week of the course. And that's more or less how I thought about designing this course. So you'll see in the introductory reading that it discusses three what are called normative ethical theories. So let me just say a bit about what ethics is and what normative ethics is. So ethics is a branch of philosophy, probably the one that almost all human beings are familiar with because you hear the word ethics or morals every day. You hear them used all the time. Um, and many of you probably aren't aware that ethics is a formal sort of branch of philosophy that those who call themselves philosophers study. Those who get PhDs in philosophy, they study ethics as a formal discipline. Um, and so what you're going to get in this course is more of a philosophical perspective on what ethics is, even though you're aware that ethics is basically about the choices that human beings make, the actions that they perform, and the reasons that they make the choices that they make and perform the actions that they perform. And that is what normative ethics is going to be investigating. There are different branches of ethics. Um, in this course, I'm focusing on normative ethics. There's also what's called applied ethics, which takes the theories of normative ethics and attempts to apply them to situations to figure out which of the theories works best to decide which course of action or which choice a human being makes is the best one. Um, so we're going to be doing a little bit of both, but the focus of the course is normative ethics. Now, why normative ethics? Well, normative ethics um, has the word norm in it, obviously. And so what it's trying to do is ask what norm of is, or not so much what norm, but is there a norm of that can guide human behavior consistently, that we can apply to human behavior, to human choices, to human actions, and figure out whether that standard will tell us anything about the way that human beings ought to make choices or ought to perform actions. So that's what it's all about, how human beings ought to act, not so much how they do act. So normative ethics is about trying to discover whether there exists a standard that can be applied consistently across different situations that will tell us the ways that human beings ought to make their choices. How should they make their choices? What norm or standard should they base those choices on? In this course, we're going to be looking at 3 different theories about how human beings ought to make their choices. The first one is called virtue ethics, dealing with the writings of Aristotle. And virtue ethics seeks to ground the norm or the standard of human behavior in our character, in the sort of enduring traits that human beings exhibit over the course of a lifetime. And so you're going to quickly discover that those character traits are grounded in the ways that we make choices. Do we use our reason in the appropriate way? Do we use our intelligence in the appropriate way when we make our choices? And when we use our reason and our intelligence in the appropriate way, that is revealed in our enduring character traits. So that's just one. Kant, who you'll read second, will be more about not so much the character of human beings, but about the specific reasons that we choose to perform certain actions, and whether those reasons can be applied consistently over many different situations. And so Kant is more about the motive or the intention behind our actions. Aristotle is about the character of human beings. And then the last theory is John Stuart Mill, which is about not so much about our character or about our intentions or our motives, but about the consequences that are produced as a result of our actions. And so each theory uses a different normative standard. Aristotle suggests it's the character of human beings that matters. Kant suggests it's more about our motives and our intentions behind our actions. And John Stuart Mill will suggest that the thing that matters most when we are assessing actions and choices are the consequences that are produced as a result of our actions. Do the consequences that are produced result in more people being happy rather than more people being harmed? And so utilitarianism will probably be the one you're most familiar with. It's kind of a cost benefit analysis. So those are the 3 theories, those are the 3 standards, those are the 3 norms. That's what the course is about. And each week we'll be looking at a different one. During each week, I'll be asking you to do the reading. You'll see that the syllabus is broken down according to each day. On Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of each week, I'll ask you to select a quote from the reading, to explain the significance of the quote, and then to ask a question about that day's reading. and that will have to be completed on Tuesday. And then you will have to respond to one other student's question, and that will have to be completed. You will have 8 of those. 2 of them will be due this week, 3 the following week, and 3 the week after that. So those will constitute, I forget exactly the total number of points, but you have to do that 8 times. And that will have to be completed within the day, because there will be a new one that starts the following day. Now, on Fridays of each week, you're going to have an exam on that week's readings. So you'll have an exam on Aristotle already this coming Friday on this week's readings. That will have to be completed within by midnight Friday. That will be due, and then on Fridays I will upload paper prompts, and that will be due the following Monday. And you'll see what's contained in those. You'll have to write. It's a short essay. It's not a full-blown paper on the Aristotle readings. I'll give you the prompts. I'll give you some tips for how to write the paper. I'll give you a sample outline, and that will be due by the following Monday. You'll have 3 exams, one on Aristotle, one on Kant, one on Mill. You'll have 2 short essays, one on Aristotle, assigned this coming Friday, due the following Monday, one on Kant, assigned that Friday, due the following Monday, and then you will not have a short essay on John Stuart Mill, but you will have a final paper in the class. It's due, I forget what I put on the syllabus, but I believe it's Monday. It's the last day of class. And that paper will be a little bit longer. You will have to watch a film and apply the different ethical theories to the film. It's a contemporary film. I think it's a film you'll enjoy watching. I show it when I teach the class regularly, and the students generally enjoy it. So be sure now that you have access to the film. It's called Gone Baby Gone. Because this is such a short course, you'll already want to be thinking about that final essay. And so just be sure you have access to that film in some way. With streaming services now, you can buy the film on Amazon for like, I don't know, $10 or something. It's not very much. So anyways, I think that's all I have to say. I just wanted to introduce myself, say a little bit about the course, and if you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to send me an email, or if you'd like to do a Zoom meeting, and because of the circumstances in the spring semester, because of the coronavirus, I got very comfortable doing Zoom meetings with students. I have a feeling they're going to continue to be a part of education going forward, in terms of office hours and things like that. Professors may decide to hold Zoom meetings. So anyways, if you want to do a Zoom meeting, even though this isn't a regular course, do not be shy or uncomfortable. I'm more than willing to meet with you during a Zoom meeting. You just need to give me enough notice, and I can talk to you about any trouble you're having with the course. At the end of the day, the big rule of thumb, I tell this to students in my regular classes, you must communicate with me. If you have to miss a deadline, if you can't turn something in by, I am pretty flexible, but you have to communicate with me. If you communicate with me after the fact and say, I missed this deadline because of X, I'm probably less likely to grant you some kind of extension. But if you do it ahead of time, I'm much more likely to work with you. So communication, communication, communication. That's all I have to say. I hope your summers are going well, and good luck to you in the course.